Hello, this is Brett Atterbury from Pro-Life Magazine, and today we want to talk about the use of mass media in the pro-life movement. And to help us with that, we have on the line Marissa Cope from Heroic Media. Marissa is the Director of Marketing, Communications, and Research at Heroic Media and is an expert on the use of mass media in pro-life movement, so perfect for our topic today. Hi, Marissa. How are you?
Hi, I'm well, thanks. How are you, Brett?
I'm very good, thank you. Thank you very much for taking the time to join us today to discuss this topic. I really appreciate it.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
So to start out, Marissa, can you give us some background about Heroic Media, how it got started, and what is its mission and what you're trying to do?
Absolutely. So Heroic Media is an international faith-based nonprofit, and we use media to connect women with hopeful alternatives to abortion through local pregnancy centers and to build a culture of life among the culture at large. So the organization, Heroic Media, was started in 2004, and we were formed at the time as Magella Society, started by a retired businessman named Brian Follett, and Brian had a desire to give back and to get involved in the pro-life community. And he had seen in the state of Wisconsin many years, actually decades, of success using pro-life media to impact the actual abortion ratio, actually bringing down the number of abortions per live birth in the state of Wisconsin through a concentrated, consistent media presence. And so he wanted to put that into practice in other parts of the country, and the organization was started in Austin, Texas, which is not known for being a life-friendly market. Certainly, even today, things are heating up in Austin, Texas, around the life issue. And so started the organization in Austin, and during the first couple of years, between 2004 and 2008, Heroic Media ran a consistent media campaign in Austin, Texas, and actually saw the abortion ratio, which is the number of abortions per 1,000 live births, decrease by over 20%. So just through the presence of calls for help and attitude-changing messages, we saw the abortion numbers go down over 20%.
Wow. That's amazing. Now, there's all kinds of different media that you can use, of course, when you advertise. And what types of media has Heroic Media found to be most effective to get those kind of results that you saw in Austin? Well,
it's been important to test and to try all forms of media. Of course, we see media all around us, and we know it's powerful, but finding the right media mix is really key for anyone when thinking about advertising or getting a message out. So at Heroic Media, we've, through the years, worked with everything from billboards and bus signs, bus shelters, to posters put up at the grassroots level, and television campaigns at the national level, on national cable, on broadcast stations at the local level. We've done radio, a lot of internet advertising, and our philosophy is always to use research and measure everything that we do so that we really know who's being impacted and who's responding to these messages. So through the years, we have consistently used unique telephone numbers to measure the response to our ads. The goal is always to get young women facing unexpected pregnancies to call either an 800 number or a local pregnancy center directly so that she can be connected with life-affirming resources in her nearby hometown or community. So we measure one medium against another by looking at where did the phone calls come in from. Did they call the phone number on the billboard, or did they call the phone number on the bus sign or the TV ad? So we've done this across the country now, and what we've really found right now in the last couple of years is that the right media mix for us at this point is multimedia, that no just one medium works on its own, but putting the right combination, especially of internet marketing, which is extremely cost-effective and targeted, along with the right amount of television media that does reach a little bit broader audience, but you get that longer message and longer interaction to really relate to a young woman and communicate to her that there are hopeful, loving, positive alternatives to abortion and people who are willing to walk with her through her journey.
Interesting. Now, you said media targeted at young women. Is there a range, for example, a specific age group that you're targeting?
Yes, so we typically target women ages 18 to 34 with our call for help messages, and that's based on the abortion data. That's the population that's having most abortions in this country. And we know that over half of all abortions are committed on young women who are college aged. So that's that 18 to 22, maybe up to 24. So we target across that demographic.
Interesting. And given that demographic, there's lots of different approaches that you could have within the media message. And for example, you could, is the woman fearful of something, and how do you address that? Is there a certain kind of underlying theme within the media messages that you address? Is it one of fear, or is there something else?
It really varies across the different types of messages that we're airing. So we have a research team of people who've been doing this particular type of advertising in the pro-life segment for decades now. And we put together that team seeking to find out what are the fears and what are the drivers, the emotional drivers that are causing young women to have abortions. And in general, what we see, of course, is that young women are told by our culture that abortion is the only option. If you have an unplanned pregnancy, then your life is over unless you have an abortion, is by and large the message that our culture tells us. Well, we're here to make sure that young women hear the truth, which is there are other options available to you. There are positive options. This is not the end of your career, of your education, of your life, of your family relationships, that all of this can be restored and cared for, and you can be cared for throughout your pregnancy. So that's kind of the general message, but we actually hone in on more specific messages with the actual television commercials especially. So it could be in one commercial that's titled Ultimatum, it addresses the fact that a lot of times we see the fathers who are giving the mother of this newly expected child, an unplanned pregnancy, an ultimatum and saying, it's me or the baby. Well, Ultimatum is our best performing commercial, far and away, in terms of generating direct contacts to pregnancy resource centers. Women respond to this message, it resonates with them, and they contact a pregnancy center. And what all the ad says, it features a young woman who looks into the camera and talks about how the baby's father has given her an ultimatum, but that's not real love, and that a child is a life you created who will love you and need you in return. There are people that can help you and services available. Call this number. So that's the bottom line. We always have that call for help. Make this call. There are people who can help you, and women respond in droves. Another example was just in the last year. Last summer, we wanted to create a message that focused on adoption as a possible alternative to abortion for some women experiencing unexpected pregnancies. So we did some research, worked with everything from focus groups, talking to young women experiencing unexpected pregnancies, considering adoption, as well as talking to the nation's leading adoption agencies about what is the profile of their birth mothers and their clients. And we learned several things that would resonate well with young women who may not be considering adoption, but if they heard the message in a different way and understood something about adoption that they may not have previously known, they'd become open to adoption. And so we've actually seen women who had appointments scheduled for abortions, saw this commercial, made a call, contacted Bethany Christian Services, which is the nation's largest adoption agency, and chose to make an adoption plan for her child instead of going through with that abortion appointment at 22 weeks.
Wow, that's fantastic. It's really neat too. It sounds like the way you're running this process, that you do get to measure the impact, if you will. And I guess when you have that call to action at the end of these commercials, so a young woman, perhaps in a crisis pregnancy, decides to call. Is she calling your organization, or are you guiding them to some other organization to help them?
The call to action is always directed to contact, it's either a helpline, so that could be the option line, which refers to pregnancy centers across the country. Similarly would be pregnancy decision line, another national helpline connecting to pregnancy centers, or Bethany Christian Services or other national adoption agencies who are able to handle specifically on that, the adoption question. So we also work with local pregnancy centers who want to use these commercials or use internet advertising or whatever the case may be to reach women in their local community. So many times a woman knows where to go for an abortion in her community, but she doesn't know where to go for help with alternatives to abortion. Yeah. So by sharing these commercials, making them available to local pregnancy centers, they can put specific contact information, their logo, their address, a phone number that forwards to their phones, because we always want to help them measure as well. And a woman can be contacting a pregnancy center locally in her hometown as well. Okay.
So how do you decide where you're going to run these advertisements? Let's take the advertisement you spoke of a while ago, the ultimatum, which sounds like a TV type advertisement. Does Heroic Media choose which markets it will run this advertisement in, or do you try to find, as you were mentioning a second ago, crisis pregnancy centers in certain markets and then try to work with them and have them be responsible for running the advertising in the local market?
Well, we actually do both. So we, as an organization, work with our supporters and our constituents to try and raise funds to generate support for campaigns in areas across the country where there's a high incidence of abortion. So we look at major media markets where there are a lot of abortions happening and where we can find an effective way to air these messages and reach women and actually see those lives impacted. We also work with pregnancy centers from large metropolitan cities in New York City to rural areas in the southeast or across the country. So it really varies, and it depends mostly upon the need in terms of the incidence of abortion, as well as the resources available in a given market, which would be, is there a local pregnancy center that's available? Is there a local pregnancy center that has the capacity to see more women and to actually reach more abortion-minded women in particular?
Okay. That's very interesting. How can people learn more about what you're doing? And it sounds like as well that you're supported, a lot of your funding comes from private donors who help you run these advertisements. How can people learn more about you?
Absolutely. Our website is heroicmedia.com. That's heroicmedia.com. And on our website, you can find information all about everything from our history and our philosophy about why we run the media that we run, how we measure success, and some of the examples of lives that are changed on a daily basis from women who are considering abortion, and then just from hearing that message of hope, instead choose life and receive hope for themselves and for their children that they're carrying. So we have tons of information on our website, and the most important thing there is the ability to get involved and to take action to make a gift. It can be $5 or $500 to get these messages out to women across the country. And our donors have the ability to make sure that ads are airing in their local markets as well. So you can know that your gift is benefiting women in your local community, or you can also let us know that you just want to see this go where the greatest need is across the country.
Yeah. I think what's exciting too, Marissa, is since you have so much experience now showing that there's actual success, there's actual positive results from these media ads, I think that will get many people, many pro-life supporters in different markets to get excited about getting behind what you're doing and supporting you as well.
Absolutely. It's always fun to share with our supporters the way that we're finding new means to do things in a more efficient and a more effective way. So we always want to reach more women in a more direct and a more effective way, and we always want to measure it so that we can celebrate the successes and the lives saved and the lives changed through the power of these media messages.
Yes. Well, that's great. Well, thank you very much again for joining us today. This is very fascinating information. Certainly want to thank you and everybody at Heroic Media for what you do for pro-life, and wish you the best of luck going forward.
Well, thanks so much for the work that you do and everything you do to support the unborn. We appreciate it.
All right. Thank you very much. Have a great day.
You too.
Goodbye.